ಕ್ಷೇಮ ಪ್ರೀತಿಯಿಂದ ಆರೋಗ್ಯ ಹಾಲು.
Namaskaram and welcome to episode 3 of Ramayana with Anuja. I'm so glad you've been keeping up with us. Very happy to present a fresh episode for you today. Today we are going to see the wedding of the Yuga. In the last episode I had told you about how Rama had not only managed the impossible feat of lifting Shiva's bow Pinaka. When he strung it, he broke it in two, and Sita had been watching from afar, and now it was time for these two beautiful souls to be united in marriage. And messengers were sent all the way to Ayodhya to convey the happy tidings to Dashratha and to invite him for the wedding. And Dashratha was elated. He was so happy that Rama had been so successful and had won himself such a beautiful bride. And Dashratha and his 3 queens made their way along with the rest of the court, the ministers, Vashishta, everyone. They made their way all the way to Mithila. They came with cartloads of jewelry, rare and precious gems, gorgeous garments, charitable items to be distributed among the poor and needy. So it was a huge, there was a lot of luggage there, and they made their way to Mithila. And meanwhile, sage Vishwamitra had suggested that Lakshmana be united in marriage with Sita's sister Urmila. And he also remembered that King Janaka had a brother named Kushadvaja, and he said Kushadvaja has 2 beautiful daughters. They will make a nice match for Bharata and Shatrughna. So now preparations were underway for 4 weddings, and it was quite crazy, and it was beautifully done, but the decorations were flawless and there was so much grandeur on display. There was a lot of celebrating, and the citizens were feasted. And when Dashratha came, he and King Janaka embraced like brothers. Kushadvaja was introduced to him, and they all got along very well, and this grand wedding was celebrated with Vashishta, Vishwamitra and all the holy men of the age. Sita looked absolutely beautiful. Nobody could take their eyes off her, and again with Sita, it just wasn't, her looks weren't limited to physical charms. She was a very good person. There was a kindness to her, a certain inner nobility to her which really shone out, and people were drawn to her. So there was Sita dressed beautifully, and she wore the finest jewelry, and there was something in her eyes, it was love for this prince of her dreams. There was so much happiness that day. For Sita, it was, Rama was somebody she'd only dreamed about, and she knew that this was the person who had visited her in her dreams, and she knew that something connected them from several lifetimes ago. Though she couldn't define it, she knew she had found her soulmate, and her dream of being united with her soulmate had come true, and this gave her a certain radiance. Even before she had actually met Rama, she had loved him, and to the very end she would always go on loving him. And their love, the love between Rama and Sita was so great that it's said to be eternal, that it outlasted this story, every other story there is. They were forever the best of couples. And Rama again he couldn't articulate what he felt for his wife, but for the first time he was a little shy, and he was not the sort of person to demonstrate emotion. But again, there was something, a bond between them that was so powerful that he was deeply moved by it, and he was so happy, and he knew he couldn't stand to be separated from her even for a second. It was the same for Lakshmana, Shatrughna and Bharata as well. They knew that they were marrying sisters who were already so close, and they were all being given in marriage to brothers, and they were going to the same kingdom. So it was a continuation. They were happy to realize that life had ensured that they would all continue to be together. The bonds between sisters and brothers would only grow stronger. It was the perfect match for all these 4 couples, and their happiness lit up the entire place, and everyone just basked in the reflected glow of so much sublime love. And the celebrations went flawlessly. Again, it was not about the grandeur, the jewelry, the pomp and ceremony on display, though all those things were there because these were 2 mighty kings of the age. But more than that, like I mentioned, it was all the love, the goodwill, the coming together of two families, and those bonds that are forged. That was what made it so special and beautiful. And with the conclusion of all the festivities, everyone gave their blessings for the couple. Everyone from the poor to the rich, all the citizens, no one could, just stay unmoved by looking at these young couples. They all blessed them with all their heart and soul. And at the conclusion of all these festivities, Vishwamitra decided that it was time for him to leave. He knew in his heart that his role in Rama's journey had played out. It was time for him to leave graciously. So he bid farewell to everyone, and Rama and Lakshmana were very sorry to see him go, because they considered him their guru as well, and they sought his blessings. And Vishwamitra returned to the banks of the river Kaushiki. Now there's a very sweet story here. Everyone knows Vishwamitra as a hot-tempered sage who'd lose his temper at the drop of a hat, and everyone knew about him, but not many knew that he had a massive soft spot for his elder sister Satyavati. He was ridiculously fond of her, and Satyavati was actually the grandmother of Parashurama. So, they had this connection, and Satyavati apparently died while she was still young, and she was such a beautiful soul that she was accepted in heaven in her own form, and her remains had become a river which was known as Kaushiki. And Vishwamitra, when he needed to recharge his batteries after he had undertaken any sort of quest, it was his practice to go to the banks of that river and reconnect with the spirit of his sister. So Vishwamitra left and to his sister, and it was time for the princess to carry on, and the journey was made to Ayodhya. Now again, these were newlyweds, and there was a lot of feasting, celebration, dancing, great music, and they were all making their way back to Ayodhya. And suddenly there were some changes in the atmosphere. The birds started circling around them before flying away. Lots of animals came stampeding towards them, but they would avoid their retinue and just go around them. So Dasharatha was very concerned about the safety of his sons. He was worried that somebody had cast the evil eye or something. But Vashishta told him, don't worry, the omens are favorable. It's okay. I don't think it's anything to worry about. And they continued, and suddenly they saw this extremely scary figure in the horizon. It was none other than the great Parashurama, an avatar of Vishnu. And Parashurama stood there looking terrifying. In one hand he held his battle axe, the infamous axe which had slain entire generations of Kshatriyas and filled 5 lakes with their blood. So he was wielding his battle axe, his Parashu, and in his other hand he held a great bow, a giant bow, and he strode towards them, and there wasn't anything friendly about his demeanor. And Dasharatha was terrified. This was a slayer of Kshatriyas, and although he had made a promise to his ancestor Richika that he had avenged his father's death, and so he would stop killing all these kings, he was still worried. And Vashishta told him, don't worry, I don't think anything bad will happen. And Parashurama approached this party. He refused to acknowledge anyone in that party. He spoke directly to Rama alone. He said, I heard what you did. I heard you wielded Shiva's great bow Pinyaka and you broke it. I don't believe it. I don't think a puny mortal is capable of a feat like that. If you have the guts, why don't you, lift up Vishnu's bow? It was called Saranga. And he said, lift up this bow and string it in front of me, then I will believe it. And he looked at Rama somewhat scornfully, and he said, if you're scared, of course, I'll understand, I'll let you go. And Dasharatha immediately threw himself at Parashurama's feet. He said, spare my son, don't hurt him. And Parashurama didn't even bother to acknowledge him. Now Rama did not mind the personal insult over here. He that wasn't something that got to him, and he wasn't very egoistic, but he was there was display of anger in his eyes. He did not like that Parashurama had slighted his father. So he first went to his father, he lifted Dasharatha and he comforted his father by placing a steadying arm on his shoulder. And then he spoke to Parashurama and he said, your arrogance, your rudeness, it's unworthy. And then very easily he just, lifted up Sharanga, Vishnu's mighty bow. Within a second, faster than you can blink, he had strung it and he had fitted an arrow, and the arrow was pointed at Parashurama's chest. And even Parashurama was taken aback. At that moment, he understood that Rama was his superior, that his tenure on earth had ended and it was time for Rama Raja. And Parashurama did not feel insulted in any way by acknowledging this fact. So very calmly he told Rama, I do accept that you are my superior. And now Rama had fitted the arrow to his bow. He said the arrow must find its prey. Are you willing to sacrifice your powers of mobility or all the stores of your ascetic merit? Parashurama thought it was very gentlemanly of Rama to offer him the choice. He said, I will offer up my stores of ascetic merit. So Rama released the arrow and all his ascetic merit was burnt up, and Parashurama returned to meditate in Mount Mahindra, which is where he would spend the last of his days. And now that this crisis had been averted once more, everyone was talking about the greatness of Rama, and Dasharatha alone was a little worried. He realized that his son was not ordinary. He held his own against Parashurama, though he was still a boy. But Dasharatha, you can't look at your son as an avatara. So he continued, okay, this is my son, my Rama, and he consoled himself, and they made their way back to Ayodhya, where they were welcomed by the citizens. And what followed was a period of perfect happiness, 12 years, where these newlyweds were with their wives, and they divided their time between their family as well as the citizens. So they did lots of good work, charitable work. Everyone was happy, 12 years of perfect bliss. But as you know, happiness does not last forever, and there was a lot of grief awaiting all of them. But I will tell you all about it in the next episode. Stay tuned for that. And don't forget to hit like, share and subscribe to our channel. Thank you very much.
ಕ್ಷೇಮ ಪ್ರೀತಿಯಿಂದ ಆರೋಗ್ಯ ಹಾಲು.